Thank you for joining today's episode of QA Bytes. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most common issues that impede successful test automation: no vision or strategy. When people start talking about implementing automation, the conversation usually begins with tools and frameworks. The right tool and an appropriate framework are certainly important. However, they are only part of the solution and really not the place to start the discussion. If you want to be able to sustain a successful automation function, you need either to be very lucky or have a good plan. I rarely see organizations talking about the vision for automation. If I ask what they hope to achieve with automation, the most common answer is to automatically execute tests. Nothing specific about what that means or what the benefits might be. What that leads to is jumping right into picking a tool and building a framework, with no overarching objective to guide the development or the roadmap. Take the time to think about what you can achieve with automation. It will make the strategy and development of the solution much more valuable. From a strategy perspective, you first need to ask yourself the question, are we ready for automation? To answer this question, you need to look at 5 foundational areas that are key to successful test automation. First is organization. Within this area, you need to understand the following. Does the organization have realistic goals and expectations for automation? Namely, that automation is an investment, requires specialized skills, and that 100% automation is not likely. Also, you need to understand, is the right support in place for automation? Does executive management have visibility to automation? Has it been given a dedicated budget? And is it represented appropriately within the project plans or development processes? And finally, do you have the right skills? Are the resources dedicated to automation? And are they skilled in both automation technology and processes? Next area is environment and process. Here you need to ask the following questions. Where are you targeting execution of automation? And what other activities are being performed in that environment? And what's your ability to control data within that environment? Next, how well can automation be integrated into your SDLC? And first, you need to understand what your SDLC is. That's important because the way you integrate the automation function with Waterfall is a bit different from how you would do that with an Agile process. And finally, do your processes provide visibility into application changes as early as possible in the dev cycle? Moving on, we have scope and roadmap. Scope is typically something that is treated very arbitrarily, something like, I want to automate 70% of my manual test cases. I like to think about all testing-related activity, not just automating existing test cases. You need to look at how effort is expended and apply automation where it makes the most sense. Will test cases be automated? Absolutely, but probably not in the same way as they were executed manually. There's also activities related to environment and data setup that often consume a lot of manual resources. These are great targets for automation. And finally, we have technology. And I put this last for a reason. Is it important? Yes. But if you have all the other factors in place, the tool really becomes secondary. So from a tool perspective, you need to ensure that your selected tool supports your target applications. And it also needs to support your target execution environments. And by that I mean browsers, mobile platforms, etc. Thank you for joining today's episode of QA Bytes. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me via email or social media. For Utopia Solutions, I'm Lee Barnes.